The terminals inside Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport were always loud with movement and noise. Rolling suitcases echoed across polished floors while flight announcements filled the air every few minutes. Families hugged near departure gates. Business travelers rushed past coffee stands without looking up. And almost nobody noticed the small 8-year-old boy standing quietly near the large terminal windows every Friday afternoon wearing a tiny camouflage jacket and holding a perfectly straight salute. At first, airport workers assumed he was simply fascinated by soldiers. Military personnel passed through the airport constantly, especially during transfer ceremonies when fallen service members were escorted home draped beneath American flags. Most travelers paused respectfully for only a few seconds before continuing on with their day. But the little boy never moved. Every single Friday, without fail, he returned to the same spot. And every single time a military coffin appeared on the runway below surrounded by honor guards and silent soldiers, the boy stood perfectly still with tears quietly forming in his eyes while maintaining his salute until the coffin disappeared from sight. Weeks turned into months. Airport employees began recognizing him immediately. The coffee shop workers started calling him the little soldier. TSA agents noticed he always arrived carrying the same small American flag tucked carefully beneath his arm. Pilots passing through terminals sometimes stopped to salute back at him respectfully before boarding flights. Yet despite seeing him every week, nobody truly knew who he was or why he kept coming. Until one rainy November afternoon, everything changed. That Friday the airport was unusually crowded due to delayed flights caused by severe storms across Texas. Travelers packed the terminals while lightning flashed outside the massive windows overlooking the runway. And just like always, the little boy quietly stood near the glass waiting patiently beside his grandmother. Then suddenly airport activity slowed. An announcement requested silence throughout the terminal for the arrival of a fallen Marine returning home from overseas deployment. Almost immediately conversation stopped. People removed hats. Workers paused. Even children became quiet. Far below on the rain-covered runway, a military transport aircraft slowly approached while emergency vehicles lined the tarmac with flashing lights reflecting against wet concrete. Then the cargo door opened. Honor guards emerged first. And behind them, a flag-draped coffin. The little boy instantly raised his trembling hand into a salute. But this time, something was different. As the coffin moved across the runway, tears began running openly down the child's face while he struggled desperately to hold his salute steady. His tiny shoulders shook quietly, yet he refused to lower his hand even for a second. People nearby started noticing. One woman slowly covered her mouth. A businessman removed his glasses, wiping tears from his eyes. Even hardened airport security officers looked away emotionally. Then a flight attendant finally approached the boy's grandmother softly. "Ma'am," she whispered gently. "Why does he do this every week?" The elderly woman looked down at her grandson silently for several seconds before answering. "Because his father came home the same way." The entire area fell completely silent. The grandmother explained that 3 years earlier, the boy's father, Staff Sergeant Michael Dawson of the United States Army, had been killed overseas during a rescue operation while protecting younger soldiers under enemy fire. The little boy, whose name was Noah, was only 5 years old when his father's flag-draped coffin arrived at that very same airport terminal. And ever since that day, Noah returned every Friday to salute every fallen service member coming home. Because in his mind, nobody deserved to arrive home alone. By now tears streamed openly across faces throughout the terminal. Several Marines standing nearby quietly straightened their posture and saluted beside the boy. Then another soldier joined them. Then airport police officers. Then pilots. Slowly, almost the entire terminal stood together facing the runway in complete silence beside the little boy who refused to let fallen heroes return unnoticed. Someone captured the moment on video. Within hours it spread across social media across the United States. Millions of Americans watched the emotional footage showing a tiny grieving child saluting fallen soldiers while crying beside the airport window. Veterans groups shared his story nationwide. Military families wrote emotional messages thanking Noah for honoring service members most people would never know personally. But perhaps the most emotional moment came several weeks later. One Friday afternoon, Noah arrived at the airport expecting another quiet ceremony beside the runway. Instead, when he entered the terminal, he froze in complete shock. Hundreds of people were waiting. Veterans, airport workers, police officers, flight crews, military families. Many stood holding small American flags silently against their hearts. And as Noah slowly walked toward the window, every single person in the terminal raised their hands into a salute beside him. The little boy immediately burst into tears. So did almost everyone else. An elderly Marine knelt beside Noah afterward and placed a trembling hand gently on his shoulder. "You've been honoring our brothers alone for years," he whispered emotionally. "But you'll never stand alone again." That day the airport officially created a permanent weekly tribute honoring fallen service members returning home. Travelers now pause regularly beside the memorial window where Noah once stood alone, saluting quietly while the world hurried past him. And every Friday afternoon, one small boy still arrives carrying the same little American flag beneath his arm. Still standing tall. Still saluting. Still making sure America remembers the heroes coming home one final time.